Hello, it's Floria, and we're back. This is our fourth segment this month. I know normally you're used to my whole entourage being here, and I have certainly missed Jonathan. Have been doing this show acoustically speaking. I have certainly missed him this month, but he will be back with me next month, and we will have the band back. And we love to share um, in music. Music is a very big part of my life, and so is media and arts. So we gave him a rest this month, and I am holding it down. But we'll be back in the saddle next month. I've been truly blessed here. I'm getting ready to put her out. I've been truly blessed here by Larica and her sweet spirit. And I have to give her a great big thank you for the wonderful job that she has been doing with my show today. So if I had some applause, if I had a little soundbite, I would play it. Everybody would be clapping. They'd be saying, "Yay!" So I just wanted to say thank you, Larica, for the wonderful job and to show love. And that's something that we need to do more often, is not just take for granted the great work that people do. So it was a thank you moment. How about that? Thank you to the guys and to Jonathan and even to Stephen Wade Nipkin. We had him on. If you missed that show, and please go back and catch it. That was the show, the interview we did about Theodore's plate. And it did me good to do that show because family values, a quiet time, things like that are just missing in these days. Um, I was sharing with a few friends of mine. Um, Everybody right now in my family is battling blood pressure. We could just have a blood pressure conference. We'd be praying down blood pressure. And so my youngest daughter, she said, is, uh, is my brother's blood pressure high too? And I said, yes. I said, but you know what? I said, there is so much going on in the world. There's so much that I would be surprised if everybody's blood pressure wasn't high and raised. You can't watch the news without seeing shouting and protesting and people screaming at you because you have a mask on or you don't have one on. It's so much that it's a wonder anybody's blood pressure is normal. So, you know, we just have to have a pray down on the blood pressure. But yes, it's just been a lot these days. So it's good to have some quiet time, some calm down time, some family time. And so the book we talked about, Theodore's Plate, is a children's book that you can read with your children or let them read it. And the whole purpose behind that was pulling back, pulling back, and sitting down. It's a wonderful Christmas book. It's pulling down and sitting down with your kids and reading. Where did all that stuff go? Sitting down at the table and having dinner together. We're so on the run now. And everything you look at on the news, it's all about be productive, get this done, how to make a minute out of a minute and a half. It's just, it has us just running and running and running and running and running and running. I have this song, I might try to sing it next month. The song is called Be Still and Know That I Am God. And it was a song I wrote about the very thing that I'm talking about, and that is all of us super productive humans who are running around doing 2 million things, and we have no real quiet time. We have no time. We're trying to figure out all these problems and issues, and God has the answer for all of them, but we can't get them because we're so busy being productive, running around doing so much busy work. And so I'm going to try to get that ready for the next month's show. But um, we're just doing so much um, that that book just really touched my heart to say, let's slow down a little bit. Let's have some God time, some family time, some quiet time, some pull down time, some reflection time. Um, and I think maybe if we did, maybe everybody's blood pressure would go down to 120 over 80. But in the meantime and in between time, I wanted to talk a little bit today about blindness. It's one of my favorite topics in the Bible and one of my most favorite word searches that I like to do. But I want to pick up right with 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. And it says, therefore, since we have this ministry, through the mercy we've received, we don't lose heart, but we have renounced the secret things of shame, not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of God deceitfully, but by expressing the truth and commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of God. But, and this is where I wanted to lean on today, but if our gospel is hidden, it is hidden to those who are lost. The God of this world has blinded the minds of those who do not believe, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine on them. For we do not preach ourselves, but Christ Jesus the Lord, and ourselves your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Blindness. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about a lady named Jan and how she just maintained her fruit in the midst of being disregarded and treating bad. And I talked about how she let her light shine when she could have gotten mad, and just blown up. I want to take a look here. It says, and he said to them, go out into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. Some people's, their minds are not blinded. They just choose not to believe. I think we all have a friend or a family member. They know about God. They may have gone to church. They may have had a prior relationship with the Lord. There are just some people who just choose not to. And God has given them that choice. I remember when I first got saved, and I would see the zealousness of some people. They would go out and they wanted to get everybody saved. And you know what? If they gave you the word and the, John 3:16 and whatever, and if you didn't receive it and immediately say, yes, I turned my life over, then they would kind of get mad at you and get angry. Oh, you're going to burn in hell. You're going to go and do this, that, because you rejected. And that's, that's not the way it should be. God has given them that right. He didn't create us, like the angels, some of the seraphim and whatnot. They don't have a choice. He wanted to create beings that had a choice to love him and to want to walk with him in the garden. So he gave us that inalienable right. So you have some people that exercise that they just choose not to believe. Could be very nice people, giving people, loving people. They'll just tell you, I'm just spiritual. They'll say, I'm not religious, I'm just spiritual. I know there's somebody up there, I think I know there's a man upstairs, but, I don't do all that other stuff. So, not so much blinded per se, as much as they know of the gloriousness of the Lord, but they choose that it's just not for them. But then you have those people who have been blinded. Like the word here says that Satan has blinded their minds lest the glorious light of God should shine upon them. There are some people who have their hearts and their minds have been blinded, and they can't receive the word. They need deliverance before the word can get in and penetrate. They're just, it comes from a long pattern of listening to the enemy to the point that you have given over your will and your life and your obedience to him. It can start as small as him saying to you, the enemy whispering something to you to say, do this and do that. And it's wrong. And you know it's wrong. But you do it. You just go ahead and do it. It might be a small thing, and it's just small, nothing really big. You might, take this. Not a big thing. Nobody will miss it. Nobody will, not in that big of a deal. But then, as you act on it, you let him know that you're listening. That's where the trouble is. Jesus said, my sheep know my voice, and another they will not follow. They hear my voice, they know my voice. So when you hear Satan's voice and you follow it, and you do it, then he knows that you're hearing it because you're following it. And then as you follow it, it allows him to go to the Father and say, they belong to me because they are obedient to me. They serve me in what I tell them to do. And then he has a right to blind you. You've given over your obedience. Anything that you continue to keep doing, that slave to sin, or when you keep following his voice, you're hearing his voice, and he knows it, and you're obeying it. So you are now his servant. And now you've given over your will. And so you see people that are out there, they're doing things. I was sharing with someone this week, I said, we were talking about going through hard times and how some things God just doesn't fix right away. Some things you just got to walk them through. You got to walk a hard road down. And I said, until you learn to walk that hard road down with God, you won't know him for yourself. You won't be able to trust him for yourself. When I was coming up, I had a 76 Chevy Impala. And even though that car was old and it had a lot of miles, I could drive that car anywhere. I could jump in that car and drive cross country. And that car was dependable. I knew that car. And so as you walk with the Lord and you trust him and he brings you through things, then you know him. And so I was trying to put it in her terms. I said, you kind of begin to learn who you're running with, who's got your back, and you trust him. So, there are some things that you just need to go through because it teaches you how to trust God, how to lean on him, how to be in a relationship with him, how to talk and listen. He has to let you go through some things, and how to walk and be strong. But I was saying to her, because she was just worrying and worrying. I said, if you're going to worry, then why trust God? And if you're going to trust God, don't worry. And I said, you know what? When you're in a car and you're in the driver's seat and you're taking the steering wheel, I said, if the enemy is sitting over there in the passenger side, he may tell you, make a left. But if you keep straight, you're ignoring him. He might say, well, is she not hearing me or is she just not going to follow me? So he might say again, make a left. And you just say, no, a lot of Christians, we do that. Well, I ain't making no left right here. Then, but if he says make a left and then you make a left, he goes, she heard. She's following me. I know she hears my voice now. And then he'll graduate. He'll say, hit that person, just drive over the sidewalk and hit him. It graduates to bigger things. And then it becomes to the point to where he has wrapped you up and tied you up, taken your will. And now you're over in the passenger seat and he's driving. You're doing things you don't even know why you're doing them or how you're doing them. You don't even understand, but you've given your will and your control over. And now your mind has been blinded. You come into a church and you can sit there in the service, but you really can't hear what's going on. Now you need that deliverance. Now you need to get him out and you need to get back in the driver's seat. Blindness. I love in the story of Elijah when Ben-Hadad was going down and he was going to try, the Aramean army went down and they were going to, they wanted to kill Elijah. And then Elijah said to a servant, he said, Lord, he prayed for God to open his eyes so that he can see. And when God opened up his eyes and he saw all of the hosts of the angels that were camped around the Aramean army, he took strength. He said, well, there's more with us than there are against us. But in that same passage, Elijah prayed and he said, strike these people with blindness. And what I love most about that passage in reading that is they knew who they were looking for. They purposely went down to Dothan. They went there looking for him. They knew they had him. They knew he's lived up in the hills of Dalton. They knew that was his tent. They knew they had him there. They were just camped out. But when God struck them with blindness and they went down to take him, Elijah stood right there in front of them and he said, I am not the one you're looking for, and this is not the place. And they said, oh, okay. He said, I'm going to take you to the place where you need to go. I'm going to show you who you're looking for. And they followed him. And I found that truly amazing. You've been so blinded that your enemy, the one you came to kill, is now leading you to the one that's going to take you hostage. That passage, that word for blindness came up again in Sodom and Gomorrah when the word says that the angel prayed and he struck them with blindness. So then there they were just feeling all around, his house trying to get in. There is that blindness where you can't see, seeing you can't see. And the very person that you came to get is standing right in your face and you can't see him. He's leading you to your enemy. Blindness. There will be people that you will try to witness to and you will try to talk to them, but their hearts and their mind has been blinded. And it seems like you can't get through to them. Like he says here in the word, their minds have been blinded, lest they see it. And so we're talking about how did they get to that point of blindness? Disobedience will get you there the fastest. Disobedience to the word of God, to listening to him. It's like the parable when he said that if you receive the word and you hear it and you don't understand it, then it says Satan comes and he takes it. He plucks it away. So you have to be careful how you hear and in what manner that you hear. But there are people, when you're witnessing, the Bible says, he that wins souls is wise. Sometimes, you're out, and I have very good friends that they love me and they respect what I do, but they're not thinking about trying to be saved. They could care less. It's not, they have a choice. They have chosen, I don't want that. I like you, but I don't really want to be saved. I'm not really trying to do that. And sometimes it's not a matter of they've been hurt or it's just not their thing. But you know what I have found? Sometimes you may share with them, you may share the word, and it seems like they're not receiving it. But you know what? Timing is all important, because as I was saying in that one show when I was talking about Jan, I wasn't ready then. I grew up in it knowing it. Sometimes you're planting seeds, and sometimes you're watering, and then another one is delivering. Another one is delivering them out of darkness. But we're all playing a part in it. So sometimes you might be, maybe it's their choice at that time. They're like, I don't want to be bothered with it. But then as they go, God touches their heart. He softens their heart. And then they open up to receive. Sometimes you may have a person that is blinded, and you have to take them. God has to deliver them, pray and take the scales off so that they can see the light. But either way around, you don't want to stop talking to them, but you don't want to beat it over their heads. I think one thing that's always been very interesting to me is how people of other faiths can go out and do missions and share the gospel, and we who believe we have the truth don't. I can't tell you how many other times other ministries have knocked on my door, given me magazines, they've had pies to sell me. And it's amazing how they are willing to go out and proselyte, go out and talk to people about what they believe. And yet here we are with what we know is the truth, and we don't. You don't see us canvassing the street and knocking on people's doors on Sundays, on Saturdays. And I'm not sure why that is. Love. I used to live in a neighborhood, and the Mormon community would come, and they would say, oh, can we take out your trash? Can we help you clean your yard? They would do acts of service to open the door to talk to me about their belief. And even though I believed differently, I didn't treat them harshly. Oh, I didn't say, what you got is not right, da, da, da. Because love will win. Love will win out. It may come down to you coming to my house and bringing some cookies, which they did. And then we sit down and I'm going to tell you what I know to be truth. And then they say what they know to be truth. And I've planted a seed. And when we both get up, we get up in love. Because you don't ever know how God is working mysteriously. They may leave and go out and say, you know what, there was just something about that person. They sat down, they talked, they didn't get angry, they didn't slam the door. So love is what wins all. And light has a source. We know that. Comes from the sun. At night, the light of the moon. But love has a source also. And that source comes from God himself. That is the light that shines. When he says, let your light so shine, that is that love. And it comes from that source of God. And when you let that light shine, when you show love, even in disagreement, even when you don't see eye to eye, that is a light that penetrates blindness. Because many times the love and the kindness that you show is what touches a person. Like when Jesus said, forgive them, they don't even know what they're doing. It is that love that you show when you shouldn't show it, that oftentimes goes back, that gentle spirit, and says, you know what? I want to look into that more. I want to investigate it. I think there might be something to it, you know? And in that way, that is how we become a light that shines to a world that is blinded. Whether they're blinded by disobedience or, or blinded by choice, they just choose not to. Our job is to share the love and to share the word and to plant the seed. And the word says, he that believes shall be saved. They have a choice. And you want to respect that in love. And sometimes, even when they reject you, allowing them to have that choice and showing the love will sometimes go around and win that person. Like the word says in Psalms, he that wins souls is wise. So I just wanted to share that with you today, blindness and being a source of light and a source of love as we go out in this hostile world that we are in. This is Floria. I love you. Keep your blood pressure down until the next show. We're hopefully going to come back with some worship to kind of calm your spirit. In the meantime, go out and share love. We sang a song about a couple shows back. It says, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Not just for you and me, but for everyone. Go out and share some love. Stir up the gift. Let your light shine. Plant a seed. Do all those things. And we're going to see you back again with another show. And we're also going to have Stephen back. So be looking for that. I do want to, before we go, I would like to remind you to go back and look at that first show Theodore's Plate. And I want to encourage you to get your order in for the book, Theodore's Plate, so you can get it in time for Christmas for your grandchildren and your young ones. I love you. I will be back to worship with you again next month.